Hello, hello. Welcome to Birth Charts Reading Dedicated Live. Let me pin the information. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know how you're doing. How is this Mercury retrograde for you? It's been crazy on my end. My iMac wouldn't work. My air conditioner died 2 days ago. There's been lots and lots of miscommunications, and I feel like my generally charming Libra rising is struggling to deal with this a little bit. Are you noticing any crazy Mercury retrograde mishaps, stories? Do share if you have anything. I will. Oh, it's also, yeah, I am a Libra rising, and so it's happening in my 11th house of friendships. And yesterday I saw my old roommate whom I have not seen in 9 years. So it was like very 11th house is the house of friendships. Mercury is moving backwards, and I ended up meeting someone who used to be my friend. So that was kind of funny. Let me know where you're watching from. The way these go if you are new. I am answering questions. Could be anything. Could be general. What is my love life potential? What is my future spouse going to look like? What is my ideal career, right? Like, what is my life purpose? So we can talk about this kind of stuff. We can also talk about the future. The questions are pretty much unlimited. I do ask you that you narrow it down to a single question, just so, because these are smaller readings. If you ever want a full-size consultation, you can book it on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. In order to get on the list to ask a question, I do ask for a donation. It is pay what you can based on how much you can afford. The suggested amount is $25 based on how much people have paid in the past. You can pay a little less, you can pay a little more, you can stick to the suggested amount. You know, it's very much up to you. We have Imani from California. We have Mystic Road from Pittsburgh, PA. The questions about love life is definitely good questions to ask. I am going to start a list. So if you want to get on the list, I do ask for a donation, as mentioned. You can see the information for the donation in the pinned comment, also in the description. And as soon as we get things moving, we'll start looking at charts. And do share where you're watching from. We have a few people here, and it's interesting to know where you guys are from. Pittsburgh is pretty close, I think, to New York City, where I am based. California is all the way, far, far away. Tara. Hi, Tara. Tara is from Texas. Morning Light Wisdom, Alberta, Canada. Honey York. Grace, right? Is it Grace? Honey York, I think. Am I? I hope. Yeah, it is Grace. Okay, I think it's Grace. Hi, Libra rising friend. You're saying I have horrible reception right now, thunderstorms. Can you do astrocartography? Best place to live for relationships and money. I can do like a quick one based on astro.com potentially, just to see what is showing up. But normally it's, you know, I'd say it's like a more complicated question. Francesca sent a payment. Thank you, Francesca. I am going to add you to my list. Again, if you want to get on the list, the readings are, I do ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $25, but pay what you can based on your financial situation, how much you can afford, and things like that. Totally understand. Okay. Francesca, why do you sound familiar? I feel like you've somewhere we've done this already, right? Okay, I do think you were on my list in the past. Let me know your question and your birthday information. For those who want to keep their information private, you can email me at anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com. Put it right up top. Please keep my information private, and I will make sure to not show your name and your date of birth, place, etc. in the in the reading. If it doesn't matter to you, you can just put it in the comment section and I will go from there. Okay, let me just make sure. I am about to go away for a few weeks, so I am not sure what my live schedule is going to look like. I might potentially do another live next Monday, but I'm leaving, flying away on Tuesday, I think. What is August 5th? I should know. I should know when I'm flying away. Okay, what am I doing here? Just a second. Okay, so Francesca, let me see what you guys are saying. So Honey York confirms that she is a grace indeed. You're saying, I will send a PayPal. Do you need my information again? Yes, I would appreciate that. So Mystic Road, Francesca, when you're saying was wondering about Doug, what does that mean exactly? What are you wondering? Like, what's your question about Doug? Do you just want me to look at his chart and tell you what I'm seeing in like a very quick sort of summary? Because I can do that, but I would appreciate sort of more specifics. Sure. So just looking at his chart, just telling you what I see there. Okay. So let's see what we can say about Doug. November 25th, 1969. Does Doug know that you have his information, and is he okay with you looking at his chart? So you're wondering, is he something that's going to be in my life? So, okay. So for that, I can pull a horary chart and just answer it without even his information. So for that, don't worry about like whether he told you that it's okay or not, because it's easier to answer with a horary anyway. Morning Light Wisdom. So did I receive a donation from you, Morning Light Wisdom? These are donation based. Pay what you can based on how much you can afford. Suggested amount is 25. Payment link is in the description down there, as well as in the pinned comment, so you can see it. Since I am going live, you should be able to see it just pop up. Okay, so Francesca's question was, is he something that's going to be in my life? Okay, that makes things more streamlined. Is Doug, is there a future? Well, like, I guess, will, so your question is like, but do you want to know if he's going to be in your life in a romantic sense? Because he might be in your life, but is that what you're asking, or do you want it to be romantic? Okay, so let's say, is there a romantic future with Doug? And for that, we just need today's date, time, and place. And we'll be on our way. And let's see. Let us see what the future holds. Okay, I am going to share my screen shortly. And for anyone who has questions that you want me to answer, you know the drill. I do have a list. So as soon as I receive the donation, I put people on my list, and information is in the description and in the pinned comment. Okay. So let's see. So is there a romantic future with Doug? You are. The first house always belongs to the person who's asking the question, or in this case, to the person on whose behalf I am asking the question. So you are Jupiter. You are Jupiter in Cancer. So there is something to you that is like empowered. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So maybe it's hard, like, you said your birthday is November 25th, 69. So I'd have to pull up your chart, but it's interesting because it gives you a certain element of strength versus Doug's planet is Mercury retrograde in the 8th house in like somewhat of a stressed position, dealing with some financial matters, being stressed, being, like somewhat lost, or just like his planet is retrograde, so he's looking back at something, he's dealing with something, he's not like in his full strength, so to speak. You are also the moon, because normally the planet that rules the first house is your conscious, intelligent self versus your moon. The moon is given to the person who's asking the question as their emotional self. And so it's interesting because Jupiter is in the sign of the moon. So there might be a suggestion that you're currently like ruled by your feelings, maybe. And it's interesting because you're asking a question about relationships and your planet is in the house of relationships. It's in the house of this other person. So it suggests that you're very interested. You're like curious about this, which, is what is showing up. And the moon is ruled by Mercury. So like emotionally, you might like him even more than you like him like on an intellectual level, I think. Or let's say on a rational level, right? There is like more of an emotional connection. And I'm gonna look in terms of like your feelings for one another. I guess we just cleared his feelings for you. What is his situation? So he's Mercury in Leo, 11 degrees, ruled by the sun, triplicity of the sun, bound of himself, face in the face of Jupiter. So he has mild interest. It doesn't look like he's got like deep interest. But it might be because he's currently like in this stressed place. And then the second point would be whether there is any aspect between the two of you. And that's where maybe more clarity can come, because so we want an aspect between the moon and Jupiter, the moon or Jupiter and Mercury. And so it doesn't look like there is one, because Jupiter and Mercury are side by side. So there's not really an aspect between these two signs. And the same goes for Mercury and Virgo. So this chart looks like a no. And there is always something to be said that you can ask this question again, you can reconsider, but at this point it looks like it's not very likely. So sorry to say that, Francesca. I hope it's not too disappointing, but it does look like you can it almost sort of looks like you can do better because of like the strength of your planet and the situation he's in, or his planet is in. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Okay, I see Alina. Alina is next on the list, and then Grace is on the list. So thank you guys for sending donations. For those who want to join, in order to jump on my list, I do ask for a donation. Pay what you can. Suggested amount is 25. So, but definitely look at what is comfortable for you and what you think is what you can afford. Hi, Voices of Victory podcast show. Roselle, you're asking the question whether someone is deceitful. I don't think I'd be able to answer this question because that's less about astrology and it's more about how the person uses the astrology or like their astrology. There's no one placement that I would say is deceitful, because it's like really depends on a person. There are some planets, some things that maybe have more of a like playful quality to them, and that can go towards being deceitful, but definitely wouldn't like it's I guess you can also probably do a horary for that, but we just did one, so I think I would hold off on doing another horary. Hi, David. David, you're saying I did a reading for you. David, you're asking about Jupiter Venus retrograde. I'd have to look at your chart probably, because like in order to be able to picture it a little bit more. And you can definitely book an astrocartography reading soon. I am away for 3 weeks in August, so I'm not going to be doing readings from like August 6th until the end of August. So for those who want to book a reading, there's still some spots coming up, and then it's a 3-week break, and then in like late August, September. Hi, Mario. Grace. Okay, I did see your PayPal. Do you remind me, Grace, do you want your information to be private? I feel like you do, right? But right now I have Alina. Alina is next. Are you here? If you want your information to be private, do send me an email or put it in the chat saying that you sent your information somewhere else and you'd like it to be private. If you don't mind your information being public, you can just put it in the chat. So, Morning Light Wisdom, are you Alina? And am I saying your name correctly? Okay, Grace says brief showing is okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see all in PayPal message. Okay, good to know. So Alina, I assume you're Morning Light Wisdom. Do you want to share your information with us, or do you want to send me an email if you want it to be private? Sarah, I see you as well. So Alina, Grace, and Sarah are currently on my to-do list. And if you want to get on the list, you want to ask a question, there's information to send a donation in the description and in the pinned comment. Suggested amount is $25, but pay what you can. Additionally, you can also book a reading with me on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I am teaching an astrology course in a month from now. In 3 months, I will teach you to understand what is encoded in your chart, to speak the language of signs, planets, houses, and aspects, to see the strength within you, to know how to work with them, to become the best version of yourself, as well as how to improve your relationships, because from self-understanding and understanding of others, a lot of goodness can grow. Okay, Alina, you're saying you're okay for public reading. So David saying thought Jupiter and Venus retrograde was rare. Well, Jupiter goes retrograde every year for 3 to 4 months, and Venus goes retrograde every 18 months. So is it rare to have both of them retrograde? Yeah, it's relatively rare, I'd say. But it happens. I'm happy to talk to you about it, like when we do an astrocartography reading, or if you wanted to do another donation today, as well. Mario is asking, you have room for a fun marriage timing case study? I definitely have room for some other people, more people. Not sure what you mean exactly by a marriage case study. That's interesting. Okay, Alina. Alina, do you speak Russian? You are from nearby where I am kind of from. My family is from Stavropol, which is the southern Russia, not too far from where you were from. I don't know if you're still there. You're probably closer. You do. Okay. Привет. Привет, привет. Okay, so Let me focus for a second to put your information in. Where are you now? Okay, it doesn't want to find it. What can we, is there a different way to type Grozny, I wonder? Or maybe something else that is nearby. It's weird that it's not finding it. Alina, do you know if there is a different big city that I can type that's like relatively close by? It's funny because Grozny is like a really big city, I'm pretty sure. Maybe Vladikavkaz? Oh, you're saying your sister lives in Mineralnye Vody. I've been there a couple of times, and you're in Canada. Okay. You're close by right now. Okay, let me try Vladikavkaz. Do you know your sun, moon, and rising? Kavkaz. Because as long as we get them relatively close, that should be fine. And I don't know why this app, sometimes it can't find, sometimes there's definitely like places that it struggles with finding. I have one client slash friend. She was born in Siberia, like very, very northern Siberia, small village. And you put her information in a variety of sources and they all give you a different rising sign. We've settled on Taurus rising, but I still don't know because, every time you put her birthday info and it's like different every time. Okay, Alina. Sun in Taurus, Moon in Sag, and Libra rising. So is this should be it, right? Sun in Taurus, Sag, Moon, Libra rising. Mario, you're asking if you should email the information. I don't think I saw a donation from you. If you didn't send it to me, I would ask that you send the donation before sending the information because these are donation-based readings. So, Alina, what is your question? No worries. I just feel like sometimes I say it and there are people who probably have heard it like a million times. Thank you for being here and for being new, for being patient with learning the way things work. Yeah, these are donation-based readings just to honor my work and my experience. Pay what you can based on like how much you can afford. Suggested amount is 25, but it is basically like based on how much people can spend and how they feel and things like that. Okay, waiting for a question from Alina. Otherwise, we have Alina, Grace, and Sarah on the list just to keep you guys updated. Okay. My question was to look for any tips to solving generational traumas in my family that might be present in my chart. What a question. What a good question to ask. I like this one. Very, very deep thinking here from Alina with her sun, Venus, and Mercury in the 8th house of death and rebirth. She's like, how do I die and be reborn in a good way? Okay. So generational traumas that might be present in your chart. I'm just checking something. Give me a second. Okay, so there are a few things. You have an interesting 4th house, and 4th house is usually very much connected to foundations and to early life and to the way your upbringing would have been. Saturn indicates a lot of family responsibility. Sometimes it also indicates a sense of not being nurtured enough, let's say, right? You also have like moon opposite Mars. So the moon loves being in the third house, and it could be about you being really friendly and really sort of good at getting along with people and sort of very philosophical. And maybe it came to you from the fact that there were disruptions and there were like travels in your early life. I wonder, how old were you when you came to Canada, or have you had somehow, Saturn can also indicate being raised by grandparents part of life, or like harsh lessons that come from family. Saturn in the fourth is oftentimes a sign that you are meant in this lifetime to learn to rely on yourself without expecting support from other people. It doesn't mean you cannot get support from other people, but it does mean that for one reason or another, people might be disappointing, right? Especially in early life. Uranus is also symbolic of tumultuous, like upbringing, ups and downs, sudden moves, sudden change in caretakers. Sometimes you're raised by your parents, then you're left with your grandparents, right? Some kind of ups and downs. And Neptune could suggest either really creative parents or somehow delusional parents, right? Neptune could be like parents that are somehow like avoidant, escapist, but maybe they're very spiritual too. It could be about them being really, really spiritual. Saturn is in rulership in your fourth house. And if anything, that should eventually help you create sort of better boundaries. I do wonder, what was your Saturn return like from 2018 all the way into 2020? Did it bring up maybe a lot of family things and maybe encouraged better boundaries in the family, or were there any major transformations? You've also had Pluto in your fourth house since 2008. You've had Uranus in your eighth house. You're saying I was 16 from age 4 all over the place because of the war, closer to my grandparents on a deep spiritual level. You are on point. Yeah, it definitely, it looks like your fourth house is a very like interesting place. And then all of that is also opposite Chiron, right? And Chiron in Cancer could be so good at tending to other people and making other people feel a sense of belonging and warmth, but maybe is not always good at nurturing oneself. And that to me also comes through from your South Node in Virgo and North Node in Pisces. South Node in Virgo is so good at being of service, and maybe almost gets like lost and escapes into serving for other people, versus your North Node in Pisces is here to teach you how to like take care of yourself and your body. And luckily you have this beautiful Venus in rulership in the eighth house. So I think it's about like leaning more into taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, being grounded. It's also interesting that your moon, which is also connected to early childhood, is ruled by Jupiter in its detriment. Sometimes Jupiter in its detriment might suggest that there were some kind of like flawed beliefs in the parents, in the childhood, in the upbringing, like something about, people didn't feel too optimistic, or people valued too much like certain things that are less important. Like sometimes Jupiter, especially in the ninth house, maybe even teachers who prioritize things that didn't feel quite authentic to you. So, and then the nodes are also in a square to Jupiter. So it's like a strong emphasis, I think, of like self-care and maybe creating values that are personal to you, that are your own, instead of those that other people wanted you to embrace. Because there's a lot of, even with your eighth house stellium, right? You have Sun, Venus, and Mercury all in the eighth house, and that suggests like a strong focus on other people. Venus will be all about relating with other people, connecting with other people. Mercury will be thinking about other people, collaborating. The Sun can shine light on all these issues with other people. So it could be like a deeply healing energy where you're meant to, like, the ruler of the midheaven, there's Chiron on the midheaven, right? Like being someone who heals other people through empowering communication, having your own business, but also simultaneously tending to yourself and your body, and like trusting, working on trusting more. Because I feel like with Jupiter in Gemini, there might be a lack of trust sometimes, because you might sort of seek the proof and you might seek the facts, but some things are not based in facts, right? Some things are just like felt deeply. And so what you're meant to learn is, I guess, like to believe in yourself too, and like to tend to yourself and your body is what I'm thinking. Do let me know how this resonates. But also with your fourth house, it's like, you almost aren't meant to have like a standard home life, because I guess of the way you grew up with having this sort of, moving around and experiencing, you're saying like experiencing the war, right? And dealing with all of these things. Like you're meant to build your own home. And maybe it's more unorthodox. Maybe it's more about like, having a home here and having a home there, and like traveling and things like that. So that's what I think. How was, like, I guess I was wondering, what was your Saturn return like? If you remember, if you wanted to share anything. You're saying, yes, I have so much to say to confirm what you're saying, but I don't want to clog the chat. I'm learning to love and take care of myself. Thank you so much. You're so good. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Come study with me, Alina. I'm gathering a group of astrology lovers, and it begins in September. There are going to be 2 classes per week. One of them will be dedicated to theory. One of them will be dedicated to conversation about things. We'll have some reading. We'll have some homework and things like that. So for those of you interested in astrology, do join. Okay. Thank you for the feedback. I'm glad it resonated. So Grace is next. And Grace wanted, пожалуйста, Elena. Yeah, if you ever want to study astrology, ты знаешь, где меня найти. Sometimes it's weird to jump from one to another. Okay, Grace. Grace. So you said your information was it's in the PayPal. So let's do astrocartography. Just bear with me. I'm not gonna use my Solar Fire app. I'd have to go through astro.com. And for anyone who ever wants to just like play with your own astrocartography to see what place in the world might be good for you, astro.com is like quite good for this. Okay. For people who are just joining, if you want me to answer your question, you can get on my list by sending a donation. There are payment links in the description and in the pinned comment. And once you send the donation, you can email me your information at anastasia.das.astrology@gmail.com. Sorry, I'm typing and talking at the same time. And if you wanted your information to be private, definitely email me. If it doesn't matter for you for information to be private, you can also just put it in the chat. So if, again, for those who want to check out the astrocartography on astro.com, you would go into their menu and you'll scroll to AstroClick Travel. And then you'll be up and running from there. Okay, and Grace, I'm also going to pull up your chart on my Solar Fire just so I have it, so I know what we're looking for, because I think that will be more useful. Thank you for being patient while I pull up the information. Just to get a refresher. Okay, so you're a Libra rising, Gemini Sun, Cancer Moon. So currently, as it stands, the ruler of your house of money, and okay, you're asking, wait, okay, you're saying I would like to stay inside the USA. That's important to know. And let me see, you were looking at career. Did you say career and money? Love and money. Love and money. Love and money. Okay. So in the US. And right now, do you live relatively close to, okay, you were in South Carolina, but that probably, is it the same time zone with your hometown? So happy Jupiter return again. So you have a few planets that are strong in your chart, right? You have exalted Jupiter, you have Mercury in rulership, and you have Moon in rulership. And in order to find a good place for either of those, we would want the ruler of the seventh house of love or the ruler of the second house of money to be one of those planets. As it is right now, Mars, which is in detriment in your chart, rules both your house of money and your house of love. So as long as you are in like Eastern time zone, that is most likely what is gonna be what the thing is. So let me see. It's kind of good that you're limiting it to the US only. That I think will be quite helpful. And I think I can share my screen without showing your information, but let's see, because there's a way to kind of angle it out. So this is what astro.com looks like. Grace is really good at telling us when the commercials are coming on, so let's wait a second. Okay. Just waiting. And after Grace, I have Sarah. So definitely can take another person or two. Do let me know. Grace, are you back? Is the commercial done? You're back. Okay. Okay. So this is what astro.com astrocartography looks like. And we are looking here at the US. And so this is where basically this is your natal chart. I think, right? Jupiter in the midheaven. Yeah. Okay. So Eastern time zone, if we're looking at it, right, it's all pretty much highlighting Jupiter on the midheaven, Venus pretty close to your descendant, which is as is. So as long as you are here, potentially even like Florida and a little bit more east, I think it's still your natal chart. If we're looking at, so here's Uranus on the ascendant. It's the sun on the midheaven, Mercury on the midheaven. That's interesting. So this is turning you into a Virgo rising, as long as you are, so the mid US makes you a Virgo rising, which is actually pretty decent because then Mercury is your chart ruler. Your Mercury is in its domicile in Gemini. So that gives you a certain level of strength, right? Vitality and empowerment. And then sorry, you can turn it on. It's okay. Turn it on. Yeah, it's fine. It's sorry, you guys. Okay, Grace. Sorry, I got distracted. So I'll zoom in to see exactly what it is, but I think I'm kind of liking this because so you become Mercury ruled as a Virgo rising, and then your seventh house in that case becomes Jupiter ruled, and your Jupiter is exalted. So this is kind of like a really lovely situation to be in. And so this is what we're looking at, right? This is kind of what we're looking at. So from Denver, Colorado, Albuquerque, Tulsa, Kansas City, Dallas. All of these are pretty nice. And like you can even look at it. So what is it, like 107 west into maybe like 95, 90 west. Those look really positive, and I think they can be good for both because they are highlighting, they're giving you a strong chart ruler and your house of relationships a strong chart ruler. Hi, lady. So this is what my take is, and if you wanted, like, I can even zoom in a little bit further to be like, what else do we have here? So it's like, yeah, like New Mexico, Denver, Colorado. It goes north, right? It goes into like North Wyoming, even like any of this area, the lakes, Lake Winnipeg. At some point we're in Canada, right? So I think at this point we're in Canada. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So if you were considering, you're saying I would never have thought of those places, but yeah, that's what your chart is saying. I would go travel there, go to Denver, Colorado, and see if you like it there. If there are any like romantic, maybe you go there and you like realize that you like the way people look there or the attitudes they have, because it definitely looks positive for both. Virgo, definitely for love. So definitely for love, I think those are. And let me actually think, because I feel like I wasn't thinking about money when I was looking at it. So what if you're a Virgo rising, your second house is Libra, your eighth house is gonna be Aries. So these are good for career, but somehow they don't look necessarily super good for money. But I feel like maybe it's just a question of like being discerning with how you spend money. And here we're already all the way in the West US. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with my original like forecast, because I think that is like, because it gives you the strong chart ruler in the house of relationships. You're saying Denver altitude sickness, but maybe there are other places that are like less high up. Misha, I see a donation from you. Thank you. Yeah, I stopped sharing, so maybe it should stop. I am going to close the list, I think, in a couple of minutes. So if anybody wanted to jump on the list and join the list, as of right now is kind of your, what do they call it? It's your final call for getting on the list. Okay, so Sarah and Misha are on the list right now. And if other people want to join, there is a donation information in the description and in the comments. Suggested amount is 25, but pay what you can to get on the list. And I am going to close it in 5 minutes from now. Just letting you guys know. Okay, Misha is saying I sent my information in email. What about Sarah? Okay, Sarah, I see information. I see your info, but are you here? Grace, you're welcome. Yeah, definitely check it out again, the recording. So I'm not sure if Sarah is still watching. If Sarah is not here, then Misha will be next. And you're saying you sent your information via email. Did you send it to Anastasia astrology at gmail.com? I'm not seeing it. Sarah, are you here? Oh, Sarah. Okay. Sarah, so your information was You said you'd like it to be private. Then your question was, what is coming up for me in career and money? Okay. Yeah, Misha, do double check. Okay, Sarah. So I might not share my screen because you want your information to be kept private. For some reason, I can't find your birth time. Is there a different, bigger city next to where you were born? I don't know why can't we see it? Yeah, it's not showing up. Sarah, do tell me if there is a different place. I guess I can also Google it. Or I can put like the biggest city that I know. That is probably appropriate, anyways. Oh, it looks so picturesque. Oh, wait. So it is close to the capital, right? So I can put the capital basically. Yeah, I'm not looking it up on astro.com. I'm pulling it up on my software so I can actually look at your transits. I did astro.com for astrocartography because it shows you the entire map and it's easier to do. Yeah, Misha, indeed, it's a retrograde. Hi, Astrolofax. Thank you for the blessings. Blessings back to you. Okay, I did pull up your chart, Sarah, and I have Aries, Sun, Virgo, Moon, Virgo, Rising. Is that correct? And your question was, what is coming up for me in career and money? But do confirm that I got the right Sun, Moon, and Rising for you. And I am closing the list, but if anybody else who is watching right now wanted to get on the list, you definitely still can. So it's closed, but there's still potentially a room to take another person or two. So if you wanted to, do jump on. But for anyone who ever wants a full-sized reading, you can book it on my website too, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Hi, Donna. Sarah. Okay. Aries Sun, Leo rising. So what is... okay, wait. Let me just see that I put everything correctly. You're saying maybe the city that I used is not... Hi, Donna. So Donna, I am doing donation-based readings. And if you wanted to jump on the list, it's officially closed, but I can still take another person. I do ask for a donation. Suggested amount is $25, but pay what you can based on how much you can afford. Hi, Bhavana. Bhavana. Ah. Okay, Sarah, let me see. It pretty much looks very certainly that you are a Virgo rising. So I don't know I don't know how you can be a Leo rising. That's not what it's showing me. It's still showing Virgo rising. Unless some of your information is incorrect, but I cannot read it out loud. So I don't know. If you wanted to email me your information again, but it's looking like, it's very much looking like Virgo rising. I just don't want to do a reading if I don't want to do a reading if your information is not correct. So, okay, let's do this. Sarah, please email me your information, and can you confirm? Oh, you're saying Virgo rising can absolutely make sense. Yeah, because do you want to just email me your information again, just to make sure that I have like the right chart for you? And I can also pull up Misha's chart in the meantime, just so I have both of them ready to go. Yeah, Sarah, I would love if you could just like email it again and like double check that everything is correct, because I don't want to, typical Mercury retrograde, I'll give you a reading and then it will turn out that you're a different ascendant than what I'm seeing. Even if you send it to me just so I can confirm that I put everything in correctly, I'm sure I did because I checked already, but who knows? Sometimes they're crossed wires. I ordered a new microphone for my yoga videos, which is so exciting. If you're not following my yoga channel, please do. It's Anastasia Does Yoga. You can also find it on my main channel, on this channel. If you just click on it and go to the front page and just scroll down a little bit, it's going to be right there. Would really appreciate some love. Okay, Misha, your information is in. I see Donna's information, but I do not see a donation from you yet. Please let me know once you send it. Okay, Sarah's saying I double checked my screenshot. Okay, then if your screenshot is correct, then I'll just look at your. It's just, yeah, you look very much like a Virgo rising, so I think we're gonna go with that. And let me just again remind myself of your question. What's coming up in career and money? Okay. So I'm not sharing this because you asked for your information to be private. And I'm going to look at your transits. I guess I can share your chart without showing things, but then I won't be able to. Okay, I'm just gonna hide your information here. And pull up your transits in a separate window. Okay. I'm just checking. Just pull transits for Misha's chart instead of Sarah's, because now I have them both open and I flipped them. I got confused for a second. Misha, also, if you can have your question ready to go, I would appreciate it. Okay. Sarah. What's coming up for career and money? Money and career. Okay, this is your chart. Yes, I did put the PM, but that wouldn't be an issue. Leo and Virgo are very close, side by side, but your birth time would have to be like at least 30 minutes earlier than what you sent. But AM will flip your rising sign most likely. So it's more like a question of the timing. The house system also shouldn't change the ascendant sign. The house system might change the houses, their sizes, but it's not going to change the ascendant. Okay, Sarah. So this is your chart. I have Aries sun, Virgo moon, Virgo rising, and this is, this is what it looks like with the other city and with the birth time you gave me. So your question was, what is coming up for career and money? And so it's interesting, right? Because your midheaven and your 10th house of career is Gemini, and Uranus has just tiptoed into Gemini, which is a big deal and a once in a lifetime type of transit. And Uranus is going to spend 7 years in your 10th house of money. So that's a pretty big deal. I'm going to look at some of the exact dates. So Uranus on the midheaven. So it's conjoining your midheaven now, basically in July, early August. And then there's going to be another conjunction on October 30th, a month before, a month after. So October, November, and then April, May 2026. And Uranus is a revolutionary. Uranus is here to liberate you. It is likely that the next 7 years will be somewhat of a roller coaster in your professional life. Maybe it means that you're going to move. Maybe you're going to start working for another company. Maybe you'll open your business. Maybe you'll close your business. There could be a lot of opportunities to bring in new ideas, to use technology, use some kind of like futuristic objects. It's all about communication, new ways of communicating, new ways of like connecting. And so Uranus is going to bring a lot of new opportunities that I think will also suggest a lot of potential like change and liberation. So like freeing yourself from something that is no longer serving you is quite likely here. Financially, so the ruler of your house of money is Venus, and she's in the 6th house. And what is happening with Venus right now? So we're gonna start having eclipses in your 6th house, and there are gonna be eclipses really close to your Venus, as well as North Node in your 6th house. Starting from the first eclipse happens in February next year, and then the nodes shift in July 2026 for a year and a half. The last time we've had this would have been like 2008, 2009. What was happening in your professional life in 2008, 2009? I'm just going to look at the transits real quick. Yeah, what was happening in your career around that time? Because there may be some kind of change to do work that serves other people, to maybe do work, like work that is healing, work that maybe is somehow supportive of other people, even like legal type of work, problem solving for other people, and other types of like helping people. Oh, Donna. Okay, I do see the donation from you. So we have Sarah, Misha, and Donna, and then the list is officially closed. Thank you, Donna, putting you on the list. So Sarah, let me know if you remember 2008, 2009, what kind of changes were happening in your career sector. But that is, I think, what I'm seeing. And so I think financially, this is also like, as you're finding these professional changes, as you're seeking new ideas, new self-expression, progress, innovation, some kind of breakthroughs in your career will also bring changes to your finances. Could it be that there are some ups and downs financially? For sure. But I think all of it is meant for you to find this kind of, again, more freedom and more liberation, and maybe not relying on paycheck to paycheck, but finding ways to work remotely, finding ways to maybe do like some kind of volunteer healing helpful work. So I hope this helps. Sarah, Misha, did you care about your information being private? Please tell me if you want it to be private or not. You're welcome, Sarah. I think it's pretty exciting with... Okay. You're saying I'm deciding to be a spiritual life coach, real estate, or management of business. Not sure what to do. Well, with Uranus and Gemini in your 10th house, you might end up doing both. You might end up having a job that is more stable, and then another job that is a spiritual life coach. I like the spiritual life coach, but I understand that sometimes it's not easy to just drop everything and like pick up and start a new career without having anything else that's more secure. So maybe Uranus wants you to do both. Okay, Misha says I can share her information. And the question is, what does my chart reveal about my creative voice and potential? How can I develop them into something? Okay. Misha. Did I feel like I'm now unsure. Yeah, I don't have the right birth city for you, so let me fix that, because that probably doesn't look like the chart that you're used to. All of the back and forward with the cities, we ended up with flipped birthday information. Yeah, that's what I thought. Portland. It should be Portland. Okay. Okay, this looks different. Okay. A little different, not like a ton different, I don't think. Okay, let's see. Does this correct? So, Sagittarius Sun, Pisces Moon, Capricorn Rising. Is this the chart you're familiar with? Correct. Okay. So, what does my chart reveal about my creative voice and potential? How can I develop them into something? So, you are a Capricorn rising with Neptune and Uranus on the ascendant. Neptune suggests very adaptable, good at mimicking other people, dreamy, sensitive personality. Based on who you're with, your image, your self-expression might change, but there's always likely going to be something unique and different about you with Uranus on the ascendant. And so that's an interesting piece, right? Like Neptune can give you a sense of understanding what the world needs, same as your Saturn in Pisces, same as your moon in Pisces. Saturn sometimes suggests in the third house. So Saturn in the third suggests maybe a certain like, interesting, right? Because like third house is the house of siblings. It's the house of like play and just kind of throwing new ideas. Just a second. Like playing with new ideas and being sort of fluid and flexible. And so sometimes Saturn in here might create a certain like rigidity to the mind, and I'm speaking of it as someone with Saturn in the third house. But sometimes because of whatever reason, like you were an only child, you were maybe, moving around and like felt somehow restricted by your classmates or by your environment. There may have been some sense of like early life like isolation, or maybe too many responsibilities around siblings where you didn't get a chance to like play as much. So what this Saturn in the third house does is a couple of things, right? Like one thing, it suggests that maybe when you're first coming up with ideas or somebody brings an idea to you, your gut reaction, your knee-jerk reaction might be to be like no, but then later you open yourself up to new ideas and you start potentially like being open to them. So one lesson might be, be open to play, be open to the idea of discovery. Saturn in the third also sometimes suggests that you, more than other people, can like dig really deeply into things and like do research and, discover the truth behind something, because you understand that the words have value and they have meaning. And yeah, another thing, sometimes Saturn in the third might indicate like some kind of early difficult experiences with speech or communication. um yeah, things like that. um so Saturn, yeah, like Saturn in the third house allows you to sorry, I don't know why I'm need more water, I guess. So it means that you're someone who can like really go deep into something, right? Like I have Saturn in the third and I'm an astrologer, and like I've learned it for a while, and it's something that you can keep like going deeper and deeper and deeper and discovering things. So your Saturn is also in a trine with your Venus in Scorpio, which can, I think, be very helpful for mastery over something. So Saturn and Venus together will be like stories that have some kind of like old timey vintage, past ages, like writing a book, let's say, about like the 60s and what it felt like. Venus and Scorpio might bring an energy of like mysteries and crime and murder mystery and things like that. And like Saturn in the third can really go deep and like dig into all the facts and like tell the story, especially with your moon in Pisces. And the ruler of your house of writing is this Jupiter in rulership too. So it's in a way like very, very lucky, I think. As soon as you overcome some of that, maybe like fear and perfectionism, which Chiron in the ninth might suggest. Did you ever deal with bullying at all, Misha? Like, was there anything where like you couldn't express your voice or your ideas early in life for some reason? You're saying big time, yes. Okay. So yeah, like Chiron in the ninth house might also suggest that you're like looking, you might be looking at like wisdom in other people, but you have your inner wisdom. And so part of like using your creating talents might be like believing in your inner wisdom and like not taking apart things, right? Because like if you did have negative experiences and other people maybe criticized you or were harsh on you and whatever it might be, there might be that inner voice that you now repeat the things they said, and you criticize yourself and you kind of carry the torch that you don't want to carry. So putting that down, and Saturn, you're finishing up your Saturn return. Saturn in the third can also suggest like becoming a business owner again, as someone with Saturn in the third house. Like I had a job, but then eventually I went on my own because I felt like there was something, it sort of found me, right? I didn't need to look for astrology. It was something I was already interested in. And the same goes for you with like Saturn in the third house of interests and hobbies and skills. You're almost meant to develop those. Like you're meant to look within, same as Chiron in the ninth. Like instead of looking for wisdom in other people, you're meant to work on developing your own wisdom and like perfecting and digging deeply and like kind of polishing that crystal that's within you. So I hope that helps. And Mercury in Sagittarius is another like really good storyteller, a really charming communicator, a very like, empowering and like big and grand and playful. So I like that for you. I hope this helps. I hope this resonates too, Misha. Um, very helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. Yay. Okay, Donna. Donna, could you you send me an email with a few questions? Could you prioritize them, because these readings are smaller ones, and usually I kind of try to focus on one, tops two things. So any way we can do, like, this is what I would like to know first and foremost, and we'll start with that. Okay. And Donna, did you say, okay, you wanted your information to be private? Hi, Donna. Yes, do please prioritize, like, the topmost question that you want me to look at, and possibly I can do two, but I'd like to sort of know what is your burning question. And if if you want me to ever, like, do a deeper reading where we can actually talk back and forward, and, like, I can answer all of your questions, I do recommend booking one on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I do appreciate when people want to know things about themselves, though. Very much. Self-discovery is a lot of fun. And if you guys want to discover yourself and understand yourself better, do join my course. It begins in September, so only a month away. And you can also register on my website. Okay. Okay, so Donna says love and travel in the next year or decades. Did you see the question in this chat? I do see your question, yes. So, is this correct for you, Donna? Pisces Sun, Aries Moon, Cancer Rising? Do let me know if all of this looks correct, and then we'll look at the love and travel. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. So I might stop sharing it at some point when I go to the transits, if I need to look at the transits, but otherwise I should probably be able to look at it as is. Okay, so love and travel. So Saturn has been in your house of travel since March 2023. It just left on May 24th and will come back on September 1st. So the final part of it will be September 1st, February 12th, I think, or 13th. Did Saturn bring delays into travel? Like, did it suggest that you maybe only traveled because you had to, only for work type of stuff? Was there any, maybe it could also be like legal matters you had to deal with, something maybe with your father, maybe with siblings, even some kind of, like some kind of friction or delays when it comes to travel, I wonder. With love, we're gonna start having eclipses in Capricorn, so that might be significant for your romantic life. The first one is in July 2027, so that might be interesting. It's still, I know it's still ways away, but 2 years is not that long. That's when the eclipses will start hitting your house of relationships, and that could be a sign of something really major developing in the house of relationships. Donna says, none, just not